the very first damn game. We done seen countless attacks on Caitlin Clark, and I'm not even finna go through the jacket of playing the videos. We all know what happened at CC. Now, what is crazy about all of this is that the Wall Street Journal, wrote an article earlier this week kind of explaining Caitlin Clark's civil rights being broken. ESPN sports anchor himself, Stephen A. Smith, has spoken about the WNBA should be...
The reality that no one else appears to be grasping is now crystal evident. While other channels are preoccupied with unfounded allegations about non-existent FBI investigations, I've been making connections that lead to something much more serious and harmful for the WNBA. In front of us is a real legal road plan that begins with Dara Ham's victory in court. This route directly leads to what may turn out to be the biggest civil rights case in sports history. Welcome back to the channel where we cut through the clutter and follow the digital breadcrumbs to the true narrative. My name is Jackson Riley. Today, we'll delve deeply into the legal precedent that has made Commissioner Kathy Angelbert and the WNBA's legal team's position with Caitlin Clark an absolute nightmare. We're going to examine a legal blueprint that other designers have totally disregarded, so if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Remember to press the notification bell. You'll want to be the first to hear what we're going to dissect because it links pieces that no one else is. This is what we will be discussing today. We'll start by examining the Hammy example, which demonstrates the WNBA's susceptibility to civil rights litigation. Second, we'll examine how Ham's successful legal strategy gives Clark's legal team a clear path forward. Third, we'll examine the statistical data that demonstrates how much stronger Clark's case is than Ham's. Lastly, we'll discuss why the WNBA's silence is no longer just a PR nightmare. Is a legal ticking time bomb that is about to go off. Since everything that follows is directly related to Dara Hammy's case, let's start with what happened to her. Following her pregnancy announcement, Hammy was traded from the Las Vegas Aces in 2023. Every WNBA head office should have been alarmed when what appeared to be a straightforward roster move, a typical aspect of any sporting season, quickly turned into a federal discrimination case. However, Hammy didn't merely complain to the media or rely on public sympathy to attain her desired outcome. No, she went to court and filed a federal lawsuit, alleging that the Aces had discriminated against her due to her pregnancy, created a hostile work environment, and retaliated against her. The worst part is this. She prevailed. Hammy and the Las Vegas Aces came to an enormous $2 settlement in May 2024. $2 million. However, the money is only one part of the picture. What her case demonstrated legally is what makes it truly significant. What legal experts are now referring to as a judicial precedent for workplace discrimination claims in women's professional basketball was established by this case. The fact that Hammy's team employed a very simple legal structure is even more concerning for the WNBA. They merely provided evidence of a blatant pattern of unjust treatment, toxic work environments, and the WNBA's inaction. They demonstrated the WNBA's failure to uphold its obligation as the league's governing body to shield its players from prejudice. Does this sound familiar to you? The similarities between Caitlin Clark's predicament and the legal documents from Hammy's case are striking. I've been keeping an eye on the online discourse about Clark. And believe me when I say that the atmosphere surrounding her treatment is becoming really hot. Disagreements over basketball are no longer the only issue. Now that we're examining a much bigger problem, Ham's case may seem like a warm-up. Allow me to take you step by step through the legal roadmap. We'll start by identifying a pattern of unequal treatment. Ham's legal team was successful in proving that she received different treatment than other athletes in comparable circumstances. However, the evidence is far stronger when it comes to Clark. A statistical study of the 2024 WNBA season indicates that Caitlin Clark scored 17.1% of the league's total egregious fouls. Data analysts estimate that the likelihood of this occurring by chance is 0, even though they are only one of hundreds of players. 81%. 81%. Take a moment to consider that. Here, we're not merely discussing basketball tactics. This is unmistakable proof of something substantially more serious and profound. And the situation worsens. Just the Chicago Sky committed 11.8% of all egregious fouls were committed against Clark in particular. You're not only discussing poor officiating or intense play when you can identify a particular team, a group of players, or a sequence of events where one player is disproportionately targeted with excessive physical contact. Discrimination is what you are discussing. Simple and uncomplicated. This type of material might readily serve as the foundation for a lawsuit. And you're losing a significant portion of the narrative if you're not focusing on this. Discuss Caitlin Clark and the possibility of a federal investigation or probe into hostile work settings due to the league's and some players' activities. Documenting a hostile work environment is the second key component of Hamm's effective legal strategy. Sophie Cunningham's disclosures become crucial at this point. Cunningham, who currently plays with Caitlin Clark's for the Indiana Fever, revealed some important details about conversations she had in the locker room while she was a member of the Phoenix Mercury. She acknowledged that teammates would frequently discuss how aggressively to play Clark. Making Clark earn every square inch of floor space was the main topic of discussion. Let me assure you that these were not light-hearted conversations about game planning. According to Cunningham, these were tactical discussions about establishing a physical tone early in the game in order to convey a message to Clark. This is the point in employment law where it becomes legally relevant. You're halfway to developing a strong case for a hostile work environment when you can demonstrate that coordinated hostility is occurring in the workplace. For Clark's case, this is crucial. A change in mainstream media is much more noticeable. Rebecca Lobo, a former WNBA player and ESPN analyst, first rejected the notion of going after Clark, but she has since changed her mind and said that the officiating practices have been troublesome. Legal experts refer to this change in viewpoint by reputable individuals as expert witness development, and it lends additional credence to the accusations brought against the WNBA. League inaction and the breach of duty of care are the next crucial factor we must examine. The WNBA is now facing legal risks as a result of Commissioner Kathy Angelbert's silence. The legal team in Hammy's lawsuit proved that the WNBA is required by law to shield its players from discriminatory treatment. The league may be held legally liable if it ignores or fails to acknowledge documented patterns of harassment or unfair treatment. The league's inaction in Clark's situation is blatantly obvious. Kennedy Carter's blindside attack on Clark is one example. Not ejected. Diamond tackles in the manner of a linebacker. Not suspended. The purposeful shove from Marina M. No penalties. The back contact event involving Tina Charles has not even been addressed. Every time the league does nothing to punish players for these egregious transgressions, it adds to the body of evidence supporting Clark's case. Former White House employee Sean Lon even wrote for the Wall Street Journal that Clark's treatment might call for a federal inquiry over civil rights abuses. The use of such language by former federal officials indicates that the issue has escalated to the point where federal inquiry is likely. The bottom line is as follows. What is certain? We are aware that Hammy's $2 lawsuit against the WNBA was successful. 2.2 million people are utilizing laws against discrimination in the workplace. We are aware that it is statistically impossible for Clark's statistical targeting rate to be random. We are aware that coordinated targeting has been verified by player testimony. Furthermore, we are aware that the WNBA has repeatedly neglected to penalize players for blatant contact with Clark. Let's now discuss what is still up in the air. The online discussion is too loud to ignore, although nothing has been confirmed yet. In an official letter to Commissioner Engelbert, Indiana Representative Jim Banks has demanded answers regarding Clark's treatment and the league's efforts to safeguard her. Although it isn't a criminal probe, that is a valid indication of federal interest in the matter and is sufficient to draw attention. Furthermore, Stephen A. Smith suggested on ESPN that the Trump administration may use the situation as a political tool, drawing comparisons to Columbia University's enormous $221 million civil rights settlement. According to this prediction, the political weaponization of Clark's case has the potential to transform this whole problem into a constitutional rights war rather than only a sporting issue, to grow legs since a lot of people will speak out about this. And I'm telling you now that, according to people from behind-the-scenes sources, Caitlin Clark's agency may be involved. I wasn't going to say anything about this until recently. Let's now discuss the sensational rumors that Clark's agent may have orchestrated federal detention. It might sound alarming, but in all honesty, it might be a very clever legal tactic. In order to create a case based on the legal precedent established by Hammy's case, Clark's legal team would need as much proof as possible of the WNBA's failure to safeguard her. Every uncalled foul, every incident that goes unreported, and the league's silence all serve as proof in their case. This would account for the fact that while her colleagues, commentators, and even political figures are becoming more outspoken about the targeting she is experiencing, Caitlin Clark herself has stayed largely silent. It's crucial to avoid giving the impression that you're looking for preferential treatment when it comes to discrimination law. Simultaneously, you must develop a strong argument demonstrating that you are receiving unjust treatment. The WNBA is already under extreme financial strain. Even without Clark's involvement, WNBA TikTok engagement has increased by an astounding 380%, retail sales have increased by 600%, and television viewership at dwarf games have increased by 600%. The league is putting itself at risk of legal liability while basically playing with its most precious financial asset. The financial consequences for the WNBA might be disastrous if Clark's team adopts Ham's legal strategy and prevails in a discrimination action. This is far more than simply disbursing settlement funds. The league's entire future might be in jeopardy if civil rights infractions result in federal scrutiny, the loss of broadcast rights, and sponsor withdrawals. Other channels have entirely overlooked this point. The true threat to the WNBA comes from solid evidence and established legal precedents, while everyone else is pursuing unsubstantiated rumors about an FBI investigation. WNBA discrimination complaints can be successful in federal court, as demonstrated by Hammy. Furthermore, a more comprehensive pattern of discrimination and much more robust statistical data are now provided by Clark's circumstances. The WNBA has established itself as a league dedicated to social advancement and empowerment. However, their entire brand identity could be destroyed if their most prominent player files a successful civil rights action. The political weaponization angle is already beginning to take shape, as Stephen A. Smith anticipated. The media is beginning to portray this as a constitutional matter rather than merely a debate over sports officiating, and federal officials are beginning to raise doubts. The more the WNBA ignores Clark's treatment and protection, the more evidence they have to support the allegations of discrimination. This is where things start to become very interesting, though. For a civil rights complaint to proceed, the Department of Justice does not even need to initiate a formal investigation. The legal structure created by Ham allows private cases to proceed without the involvement of federal agencies. The WNBA will be subject to a discovery process that may reveal internal emails regarding Clark's treatment, targeting tactics, and officiating choices if Clark's legal team brings a discrimination claim based on Ham's precedent. Consider a deposition in which WNBA officials are compelled to testify under oath regarding the reasons behind Clark's excessive targeting without facing any consequences. Imagine team administrators having to clarify conversations about coordinated physicality in the locker room. Imagine referees being questioned about various players receiving varied officiating standards. The WNBA's reputation and his competitive standing in the sports world might be severely damaged by the discovery process alone. Corporate sponsors, who have been vital to the WNBA's financial success, will not want to be associated with a company that is being sued for civil rights. The harm to the WNBA's reputation and marketability might be disastrous, even if the action is ultimately resolved or dropped. This leads us to the financial aspect of this legal dispute. One player can significantly alter a league's financial situation, as demonstrated by Caitlin Clark. Larger venues are now needed for fever games in order to accommodate ticket demand. Sales of goods with Clark's name and number have increased by over 600%, and WNBA League Pass subscriptions are at all-time highs. Despite the fact that she is the league's most valuable asset, the WNBA has neglected to shield her from the very real possibility of harm and legal culpability. Before making any accusations, Clark's legal team will want to record every instance of targeting and league actions. Every game that goes by without any activity from the WNBA. Discrimination is strengthened by the protector. The league's legal defense will become more difficult the longer they wait. The pressure on the WNBA will only intensify as the federal government becomes more interested in this case and as the media keeps covering it. The economic stakes are greater than before, and the legal precedent is already established. There will soon be a significant shift in the competitive environment for WNBA content creation. This is no longer just a straightforward sports debate. A legal roadmap from Ham's presidency to Clark's case is going to set the stage for the next significant legal struggle in sports history, and it is now a constitutional rights issue. For those of you narrative analysts out there, I have a question. Do you believe that Ham's legal framework is already being used by Clark's legal team to construct a discrimination case? Are we witnessing a sports quarrel masquerading as smart legal preparation? Since this meta-narrative is still evolving, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Make sure to subscribe for further competitive intelligence research if this breakdown clarified the legal roadmap that other outlets are lacking. This tale is developing quickly, so you won't want to miss what happens next, so hit the notification bell. A discriminatory angle is about to completely alter the course of this tale, therefore share this video with anyone who needs to understand the legal precedents behind Clark's dilemma.